For years, there were whispers about certain photos, images that were never meant to be seen, files that seemed to vanish the moment someone went looking for them. According to sources, these were not just ordinary photos. These were pictures that placed Meghan Markle in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein. Pictures that, if true, would rewrite the story the world believed about who she was before she put on a tiara and walked into royal history. For a long time, it looked like the people in power had erased them for good. Licensing agencies wouldn't release them. Archives came up empty. Even major photo libraries reportedly locked them away behind restricted access tags. But then something slipped. Someone, somewhere, stopped protecting those files, and the images surfaced again. Quietly at first, a flicker here, a reappearance there, and suddenly the thing everyone thought had been buried was staring back into the light. That is the moment this story begins. Not with the royal wedding, not with the fairy tale romance, but with the pictures they tried to bury and failed. Because once a secret escapes, it doesn't crawl, it runs. As soon as the photos surfaced, old voices began echoing again. Voices from inside the very world that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell built. One of those voices came from Ghislaine herself, still sitting in prison, with nothing left to protect, and even less left to lose. The transcript claims she spoke about Meghan's Hollywood years, hinting at connections that were shrugged off or ignored when Meghan became a duchess. But Maxwell wasn't the only one. Years earlier, Virginia Roberts Giuffre had reportedly mentioned Meghan's name too. When she prepared her civil case against Prince Andrew, her legal team even considered calling Meghan to testify. Why? They believed she lived in the US and could be summoned. They believed she had been close enough to Prince Andrew socially to possibly hear or see things. And according to their claims, they believed her past environment overlapped the edges of Epstein's world. Now, none of this meant Meghan was guilty of anything. But in the world of investigations, proximity matters, knowledge matters, and when two people who lived inside the Epstein circle mentioned the same name, investigators listened, even if the world didn't. So when the photos slipped back into public view, these old whispers suddenly became a lot louder. And for the first time, the story wasn't just about Meghan the Duchess, it was about Meghan the mystery. Once these pieces resurfaced, researchers began to notice something strange, something repeating, a pattern that stretched far beyond the United Kingdom. Because Meghan was not the first woman to rise from anonymity, marry into royalty, and later face questions about her past associations with Epstein. Sophia of Sweden met Marit of Norway. Both women, according to newly released files, had crossed paths with Epstein years before they were connected to royal families. Both had lived lives under the radar, lives that came back to haunt their palaces when documents finally surfaced. The pattern was simple but chilling. Girls who once lived quietly on the edges of elite social worlds later stepping into royal courts, only to have old shadows follow them inside. And that's where the Meghan story becomes something bigger than gossip. It becomes a blueprint, one that Europe has seen before. Because when files reappear and photos resurface, they don't just expose one person, they expose a system. Now that the early whispers are out in the open, the story moves into a part of Meghan's life that almost everyone overlooked. These are her pre-royal years, the years before the headlines, before the fame, before the royal romance.